Hi there, this is Rick Partlow. Welcome back to How to Write Science Fiction That Doesn't Suck. Today I'm going to take a slight departure from my usual, basically what I guess I would call craft advice, and do something I'm not an expert at and talk about financial expectations and expectations of success, really, and how to manage your expectations. Because one thing I've noticed, besides the fact that way too many people concentrate on the financial rewards of the job rather than the actual craft and the art of writing, is that everybody thinks they're going to be the ones who make a living off their writing. And some people do. It can be done. It's not impossible whatsoever. There's thousands and tens of thousands of people that do it. But it's not easy, and it's not instantaneous. And I want to talk to you about this not because I'm going to tell you how to make a living off your writing. I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't be discouraged from writing if you can't make a living off your writing immediately. So first, let me tell you a story. Let me tell you about my story. I've been writing since I was, a young child. I finished my first novel when I was in junior high school. I finished my second novel right after I graduated high school, and in between I had another one that I wrote like 300 double-spaced handwritten pages with really small writing and never did finish. So I've been writing a long time. They say that you're supposed to throw away your first million words, that they're going to suck. Well, mine did, and I have thrown them away. I mean, I kept them for a long time, but eventually at one move after another, multiple notebooks worth of loose leaf paper just finally got thrown away. Okay, so I've been doing that since I was a kid. I started trying to get published in the 90s. When I was in my late 20s, and I finished my first two novels, which were Duty, Honor, Planet, and Birthright, when I was in my late 20s. Funny story, I had written about 2/3 of Duty, Honor, Planet, a longhand in one of those notebooks while I was in college, and then on to when I was in Infantry Officer's Basic Course in the Army. And I went home for Christmas leave from Infantry Officer's Basic Course, and I left it in a drawer in my room at the Bachelor Officers' Quarters at Fort Benning, Georgia, and a maid threw it out. So I had to redo that whole book, which turned out to be a blessing in disguise because I had started writing that book in the 80s, and it had assumed certain things about how the Cold War was going to turn out that did not turn out to be so. So I would have had to rewrite it anyway. And rewriting it again, this time on a computer, it allowed me to refine a few of the parts of the plot. So anyway, I finished those first two books when I was in my late 20s, almost 30, about the time that my son was born. And I got an agent, which back then that was like considered 3/4 of the battle. You want to get traditionally published, you had to get an agent. So I got an agent, and I gave her both those books. She sicked a bunch of different editors on me, developmental, line, all the different editors, every possible editor. She put multiple versions of them on me, and we went over those books with a fine-tooth comb, and we turned them into what she thought was marketable. And having an agent in the mid to late 90s, something just had to do, and people thought getting an agent was the hard part, and then you get published. Well, I got an agent, and she could not get those books published. I don't know if it was bad timing, if she just wasn't connected enough in science fiction. At any rate, the books did not get published, and I lost hope. This was well before the self-publishing days, before you could self-publish on Amazon and, fairly cheaply. And self-publishing back then was vanity publishing. You printed out the books and you had crates of thousands of them in your garage, and you try to sell them at science fiction conventions or whatever. And that was not for me. That was not going to be me. Larry Correia managed to make a lot of money and get a publishing contract doing that with CDs, but that wasn't me. I was not a salesman. So I started a bunch of other books, but I didn't write any sequels to those two. I had vague hopes that I could write another book and get another agent and get published, but as I went on, nothing really caught my imagination the way those two plots had, and I kind of gave up. I had a hard drive full of 20,000, 30,000 word partial manuscripts, and they were never going to get finished. Then around 2010, a friend of mine started telling me about Kindle, and at the time, self-publishing, like I said, to me that meant vanity publishing. Losers did that. I was not interested. But come around 2011, I started thinking, I spent years writing these books, and somebody should read them besides me and my, close friends and family. So I am going to go ahead and put them on Amazon for Kindle for 99 cents. I would have done it free, but they wouldn't let you do it free. And there was a complicated way you had to do it. So you had to put it on another market, and it had to be free there, and then they would price match it, and which seemed like a lot of effort to me, and I didn't want to do it, so I just put it for 99 cents because it was the cheapest that would let me put it. So I put it on there. I didn't put much effort into it because for me this was just to see if anybody else would enjoy reading my book. So I put it out there and slapped a homemade cover on it. I didn't even make the cover in the shape of a book cover. It was square with a picture that I got free on the internet and lettering that I did myself in Photoshop. And I put it up there, and those two books the first year sold 30,000 copies, which at the time I was just dancing a jig. I'm like, holy crap, 30,000 people bought this book. I mean, for 99 cents, I made around $10,000 that year, which to me, I was like, holy crap, 10,000 bucks. I can buy I'm into wildlife photography. I can buy this great camera lens and camera to go shoot wildlife in Yellowstone or something. So I started writing again, and I wrote sequels to those two. I wrote the two sequels to Duty, Honor, Planet, the two sequels to Birthright, and I was still thinking like a traditional pub writer. I was writing a book a year. It took me, 10 to 12 months, sometimes I think 14 months for one of them to write a book. And I would write it, and I would make, $5,000 or $6,000 from putting that new book out. And that was my story for another 5 years. I'd write a book a year. I'd put it out. I'd make $5,000 or $6,000 a year, and think, that's not too bad. Maybe I'll hit 10 again if I can, get enough books out there. I gradually put better covers on the books. I gradually learned how to write real blurbs for them. It was a very slow process over a 5-year period. And finally, and I didn't honestly have any reason to do it faster. I didn't know to do it faster. I was still thinking like a old-time trad pubbed author, and they put out a book a year, so I was putting out a book a year. But once I got done with those books, I wrote Glory Boy, and Glory Boy had the advantage of already having been plotted out because it was the story of what happened to Caleb Mitchell in the war. And in the Birthright trilogy, I'd pretty much told that story, so I knew exactly what was going to happen. So it was just a question of writing it. And honestly, it didn't appeal to me to write it because I already knew what was going to happen. So I wrote that story in 3 months. And it was so much faster because I didn't have to plot it out first. It was already plotted. Everything else I'd done, I'd written by the seat of my pants. And that was the book that was the tipping point. And I made a lot of money from that book in December through February or March. December 2016, February through February, March of 2017, lots of money off that book and the Birthright trilogy, because it was already there and it was connected to that book. And then I wrote the Recon series, and I made pretty good money off that too. And I made enough money in 2017 that I thought I had arrived. You know, I had hit six figures. That was like going to be the promised land. All I had to do was keep doing more of what I was doing, learn a little marketing. Yeah, that's what people said. So 2018, I wrote a bunch more books, and they didn't do so good. My income halved. It was still a good amount. It was still a lot more than I ever earned before. But I'm like, I'm not doing something right. I've got to change. So I changed some stuff, and I did change my marketing, and then it went down by another 25%. And I'm like, okay, this was a fluke. I didn't know what I was doing. I hit some sort of trope by accident, and I'm not going to make that much money again. And I was considering not writing. I mean, I'm still going to write because I love writing. You know, it's not just, it's my job now, but it's also what I love to do. So I was still going to write, but I'm like, I'm going to go back to writing like a couple books a year instead of like 7 or 8 a year, which was what I was doing. And I'm not going to push them out, you know, and try to publish them and market them. I'm just going to write them, and that's going to be it. And of course, I signed on with Athon Books for Wholesale Slaughter, and then for Drop Trooper, and things eventually took off again. Last year, things got great. This year, they're still going great. Can't count on that continuing, though. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about, is managing expectations. Because when I hit the big time in 2017, I forgot the feeling of 2011 when making $10,000 in a year felt like a victory. And I was at the point where in 2018 making $62,000 felt like a failure. In 2019 making $45,000 felt like the end of my career. And I had forgotten that just having people reading my book, willing to pay money and reading my book and leaving reviews was a victory. And to the point where I've gotten to now, which I hope, knock on wood, is, you know, something that's going to continue. It didn't come easy, and it doesn't stay easy. You can't just write. I mean, I have 42 books out. Well, most of them are out. Some of them are being relaunched by Athon, and a couple are coming out like next month and the month after. But say 42 books. And I wrote 12 of them last year. And my income is starting to pick up to a point where I'm getting more secure at the thought that I will be making a living off this for a while. But that wasn't the case for a long time. It took me 5 years to get to the point where I made serious money. And it took me another couple of years after that to get to the point where I think I might be able to stay there. But it might not stay there. I might go through another dip. You know, so I want you to understand that you need to think of the smaller victories. Don't think that you are going to hop into this business and write your book, and even if it's a great book, you know, that you're just going to be able to do a little marketing and it's going to, you know, it's going to change the world. It's going to change your world. It's going to turn you on to a new career. Writing can be a career, but honest to God, and you may not believe me, it's better if you don't consider it your career. It is. I mean, whether or not you can support yourself with it, I mean, I still have trouble saying that my career is being a writer, because I don't want it to be a job. You don't want it to be a job. It's so much more fun when it's a passion. And if you make money from your writing, if you can afford to quit your day job and write full-time and live off of that, still, it's more fun if you think of yourself as a bum, as somebody who's a bum who makes enough money from writing. And it's honestly, it's better if you feel a little guilty for the fact that you make money from writing, because you feel guilty because writing is a pleasure. It's a passion. Like I do wildlife photography, and I run into a lot of professional wildlife photographers. And these guys, nobody makes money anymore from selling their photographs. They make money by getting a reputation and guiding other people to take photographs. And most of these people, the ones that make a living at it or trying to make a living at it, are so miserable when they're out there in the field. They're never happy with the pictures they get. They're never happy with the light. They're never happy with what the animal's doing. And I do it as a hobby. It's a passion. I don't do it that often anymore. I used to do it a lot more. But it was a passion, and I didn't care if I made money off of it, because it was something I did because I love to do it. And if I get out there in Yellowstone and I find a wolf 70 yards off the road and I get some pictures of it, I'm not going to sit there and complain, man, the light could be better. Or, I wish he was over here so I could get him with the light shining in this direction. I'm just really happy to get pictures of a wolf or a grizzly bear or whatever. I'm not going to be the one saying, oh, I'm not going to bother to take a picture of this because I have better ones back at home. I don't care about that. I hear photographers say this, because I watch YouTube videos on photography, and I hear like guys who are like really high up say, I don't even bother to take a picture unless the light's good or unless the setting is like, screw that. This is not my job. I do this because I love doing it. And if some of my pictures are better than others, so be it. All of them are memories. It's the same thing with writing. It feels so much better if you never consider it your job. That's why I love the fact, not to shill for Athon, I love writing for Athon. I love writing for Scott Bartlett. He has a small press, and if I write for somebody else, it would be great too. But I love writing for somebody who's going to do that marketing dirty work. And it's not that I think it's beneath me. It's, for one thing, I'm not very good at it. I tried to do it myself and I was not good at it. But for the other, it makes it a job. And you may have to do that. But I'll tell you what, if you can find somebody else to do it, if you are lucky enough to be married to someone who can do it, or if you have a good friend you could pay to do it, somebody you trust, that's so much better. Because the marketing makes it not fun, and if it's not fun, then it's a job. And once it's a job, then it's work. It's work, and you want to take vacations from it. You want to take days off from it. I don't want to take any days off of writing. People say, well, I take the weekend off, I take this off. I'm like, I don't want to take any days off. I may not get as much done some days because life intrudes, but I don't want to take any days off from writing because I love writing. I love sitting down and writing these stories and making them up and then letting other people read them. I love the fact that there's a cover and it's online and there's a blurb and people will look at this and some will read it and some will love it and they will consider it one of their favorites. And I'm like, holy crap. They're doing this for something that I would have done free. Because I did it free for so many years. It's like wildlife photography. I'm saying that that was my hobby. I pay lots and lots of money to do that. I think I've sold maybe $200 or $300 worth of photographs the whole time I've been doing wildlife photography, which is 15, 16 years now. And I paid tens, if not $100,000 worth of trips, airfares, rental cars, hotels, food, gas, lenses, cameras, computers. And why do I put that much money into something that doesn't pay? Because it's what I love to do. And writing is what I love to do. And luckily, it's not anywhere near as expensive as wildlife photography. If you have the choice between wildlife photography and heroin addiction, you might want to choose heroin addiction because it's a lot cheaper. Cameras, oh my God, cameras, lenses, wildlife lenses, these big, like 500 and 600 millimeter f4 lenses, they're like $12,000, $13,000 for a new one. It's crazy. In writing, all you have to have is a laptop. So it's something I love to do. It was a hobby for a long, long time, and now I make money at it. And the making money at it is great. It changed my life in a lot of ways, but it's not why I write. It's why I publish. It's not why I write. And if you are expecting for the money to be why you write, then you need to change your expectations. You need to manage those expectations. Your motivation for writing should not be the money. The money is good, and you want to write stories that people love, but you want to do that because you love writing stories that people love. You want people to come back to you not just because they spend money on you, but because this is what you love to do, and you want them to love your stuff. Just like I want people to love my photographs. You look at that photograph and say, oh yeah, that is awesome. That's a great photo. I'd hang that on my wall. Although most of them won't because they don't have the room or the money. But it's the same kind of feeling. It is art. Maybe it's not art like the Sistine Chapel, but writing is art. And I'm not a pretentious kind of artist. I'm not trying to send a message. I'm not trying to live forever. But I am trying to make something for someone else to enjoy for reasons of passion. And that's what art is. And I want you to remember that whether 10 people buy your book or 1 million people buy your book, you wrote that book because it's what you love to do. Don't give up on writing just because you aren't making money. And don't, to coin a phrase, don't quit the day job. Do not quit your day job unless you are really, really comfortable. I can afford to quit because my wife has a good job, and if things fall apart writing-wise, she can keep us on our feet until I get another job. But I'm not going to quit writing, even if I have to get another job. Even if this all falls apart tomorrow, I'm not going to quit writing. I quit once, and it was the worst mistake I ever made. Not just because it probably cost me tens of thousands of dollars, because if I'd had books available to put out there in 2011, and not just those two, I could have made a lot more money. But besides that, I gave up on something that was my dream for financial reasons, because I wasn't making any money at it. But that was a bad reason to give up. You give up on a job that you're in for just financial reasons. Like if you're working at a retail store and you're not getting the commissions you need, or if you're selling cars and you suck at it and aren't getting the commissions you need, that's why you give up on a job. You don't give up on your passion. Whether you're a bad writer, and some people are, don't get me wrong, not everyone's a good writer. But even if you're a bad writer, if you keep writing long enough, you'll get better. And really, we are what we do. I know a lot of people in real life, in movies and books, they always want to have their characters be misunderstood because despite what they've done, they're not a bad guy. Or despite what they've done, they're not a coward. And I disagree. You are what you do. What you say you are, what you think you are, those are irrelevant. You are what you do. And if you write, then you're a writer. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. And someday, that'll earn you some money. But if it doesn't earn you money right away, don't stop writing. Don't give up on your passions. Even if you only write 100 words a day, do it every day. I mean, do you not eat some days because you just don't feel like it? No, it's something you do. Do you not brush your teeth because you don't feel like it? If you do, you're disgusting. No, you brush your teeth because that's what you do. And if you're a writer, you write, and you write every day. You know what I mean? Unless life intervenes, like if you're driving all day long, obviously you can't write. But what I'm saying is, it's something where when you sit down with nothing else going on, and you can sit down at a computer or put your laptop up in your car, or write on your phone, you should be doing that every chance you get. It should be something that you're like I feel bad when I don't work out. If I don't work out in a day, I feel guilty. I feel like, I've done something wrong. And the same thing should be true about writing. If you don't write during the day, you should feel off a little. Because that means it's what you love to do. It's not like, oh shoot, I didn't write today, I'm not going to make money. No, I'm making money right now. I mean, if I stopped writing right now, I'd still make money for a few more years because I got 42 books out. But I'm not going to stop writing. I love writing. I do it because it is the most fun I've ever had. It's the best thing I've ever been paid to do. And it still blows my mind that people will pay me money for it. And that's how you should feel. And if you don't feel that way, if you're doing it just for the money, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong, because some people make a living that way. But I don't think it'll last. I have seen so many people come and go. And I've been around a long time. I've self-published in 2011. The names out there then are not the names that are here now. And a lot of the people who hit it big back then, they're not writing as much anymore. They're barely writing anything. And the reason is, when times got tough, when the money stopped coming in, they're like, this is not how I'm going to make my fortune. This is not how I'm going to make a living. So I'm going to stop doing it. Now, you keep doing it because you love it. The money is gravy. Maybe you'll write 1 book a year instead of 5 or 6. Maybe you'll write in a genre that doesn't really sell just because you want to write in it. But you keep writing and keep publishing too. I mean, it doesn't matter if nobody else will publish it yourself. I hear people say, oh, there's so much crap out there. There used to be gatekeepers. No, you're the gatekeeper. You put it out there, and one person reads it, and it changes their day. It changes how they feel. Then you've done something. You've accomplished something. Because this writing is not, and has never really been, a business. People have turned it into a business. But the people who are best at it, the people who write the things that are going to last, they do it for love. They do it for passion. And that's the reason to do anything. If you work a job where you hate to go to work every day and you're looking forward to retirement, that's a job. That's not a passion. It's not a calling. And people ask me, what do you should save for your retirement? I'm like, what retirement? I'm never going to stop. I'm not going to retire. I'm going to write for the rest of my life. Maybe I'm saving money because the money may not keep coming in, after a certain point. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop writing the books or putting them out there. They're still going to be there. And if I make money out of them, that's great. And if I don't, then somebody's still going to read them. Even if I have to give them away, I will keep writing them. And if you can say that, if you can say, if nobody pays for this, if I had to give it away, I still wouldn't stop writing, then you are a writer. Then this is your calling. This is your passion. If you're saying, I'm pretty good writing, I'll make some money at it, and then if I make money and I stop making money, I'll stop writing. Well, then it's a job. So manage your expectations. Don't let the money side of things leach the passion out of your writing. Don't make the money side of things make you write something just to be tropey, just to be on target with, target audience, writing to market. Don't let that make you write something that you don't want to write. You can market your ideas as you write. You can throw things in, but the story, the characters, that's got to come from here. You have to want to write that. You have to love to write this thing, whatever it is. And if you don't, people will be able to tell. People will be able to say, this looks weak compared to what I've read from him before. This is passionless. This is work-a-day. And I just hate to see that happen. And I want all of you who are listening to this to remember why you started writing in the first place, and not to let the money keep you from maintaining that passion. And I'm going to stop now because I'm repeating myself, but it's important to me and I see it happening way too much. And I wanted to remind everybody, it's not just a job. This is something, it should be something you would do even if you weren't getting paid for it. And it's great getting paid for it, and I hope you make a lot of money at it. I hope you can get to the point where you can quit your day job and do it full time. But if you don't, do it anyway. Because why wouldn't you? If you can write and you don't, why? Why would you not write? It is a lot of fun. It's an incredible amount of fun. You're creating something. You may not be making a chair or painting a picture, but you're creating something. You're creating a work of art. You're telling a story. Stories make our civilization go around. Homer, writing stories, people telling those around the fire. That is what made Hellenic civilization last through the Roman era. It's what turned us from, prehistoric nomads to people who lived in cities. And my dog wants in, and he's telling me that that's the end of this video. So I will talk to you guys later. If you want in touch with me, dutyhonorplanet487@gmail.com. Thanks, and I will talk to you later.